Good morning, friends. Hope you are all fine. Last day, friends, we have started with the new chapter, that is the chapter number 2, forms of business organization, right? And in that, we have learned some of the concept related to sole proprietorship firm, right? And in that, we have learned its advantages also, limitations also, as well as the characteristics also. And second concept last day we have started is the Hindu undivided family, right? In that also we have learned the features also, characteristics also, right? Now today we are going to learn the merits of HUF. So friends, already we have discussed what is HUF. HUF means what? Hindu undivided family. And in that we have seen the eldermost member of the family is known as Karta, and its liability is also unlimited, right? And he takes all the necessary decision related to the firm. So today, friends, we are going to learn what are the merits of Hindu undivided family. So it becomes very interesting to know what are the merits. So let's see. So friends, the first is the merits of HUF, right? So first is what? Effective control. Why we can say effective control? Because only one person is there who can take all the decision. You just see, if your father and mother take the decision, then it will be very good because the control is there. But if the father and mother says that okay, now, right, you can also take the decision as per your choice, then it becomes very confusing, and plus it will not be relevant also. It is not up to mark also. So control is to be done by hardly one person. Then only there will be efficiency. Then only there will be what we say the decision making power can be made very easy and effectively we can do. So the first point perfectly they are saying, that is effective control. So what we can say, the karta has, what they are saying, the first point, the karta has absolute means what? 100%. The karta has absolute decision making power. No one can interfere in that. This avoid conflicts. Conflict means what? Right? Some type of argument, some type of disengagement, some type of ego problem. That means this avoid conflicts among the members, as no one can interfere with his right to decide. Clearly they want to say no one can interfere with his right. He has the right to make the decision. 100%, he has the right to take the decision, and no one can interfere. And this also leads to what is the benefit of that? This always leads to prompt and flexible decision making. Prompt means what? 100%, up to the perfection. He can take the decision without asking anyone. And flexible, he is very flexible. Because why we are not flexible? Because we have to ask any other party whether I have taken the decision right or not. Here the karta is only taking the decision, so there is no issue of that. So let's start the point. The first point is the karta has the, yes, absolute decision making power, the first point. So what happened? This avoids the conflict among the members, as no one can interfere with his right to decide, right? And this leads to what happened? This also leads to the prompt and flexible decision making, right? So I think it's very clear. So what we can say, effective control. The karta has the absolute, that is the 100% power to take the decision. This avoid what? Conflict among the other member, as no one can interfere in the right to take the decision. And what is the benefit of that? This leads to the, this has also lead to prompt and flexible decision making. Now what they are saying, the second point is, that is also very interesting, continued business existence. So what we have learned in sole proprietorship, there is always a problem that the business cannot be continued for a long period of time due to death of the owner, due to insanity, due to bankruptcy, due to imprisonment. Any other reason may be there, but the business will cannot be continued for a long period of time. Now this is the advantage in the Hindu undivided family. How? कैसे होता है ये? Because what is the basic concept of Hindu undivided family is that the eldermost member become the karta. That means he is responsible for everything. Suppose if the karta is died, what happened? The next eldermost member will take the authority and he will become the karta of that particular business. So the business will continue for a longer period of time. I think you know the example of the Tata Group. It has been established by the Jamshedji Tata, and in 1869 it has been established. So obviously now you can see it already is 100, 120 year plus the company is running. So the business is started by one person, but the inheritance वारिस पे वारिस इस तरह से ये आगे बढ़ता है. Inheritance बोलते हैं इसको, right? So what we can say, कंटिन्यूड बिजनेस एग्जिस्टेंस, लंबे समय तक अपना ये बिजनेस चलता जाता है. द डेथ ऑफ द कर्ता विल नॉट अफेक्ट द बिजनेस. क्लियरली बोला हुआ है, द डेथ ऑफ द कर्ता डस नॉट अफेक्ट द बिजनेस as the next eldest member will then take up the position. The first line ही clear लिखा है, the death of the karta will not affect the business because the next eldest member will take up the position. उसके बाद वो position ले लेता है, जैसे अपने क्रिकेट में when one person is out the other person will come, है ना, वैसे होता है. Hence operations are not terminated, यानी business बंद नहीं होता, and continuity of business is not threatened. कोई डर नहीं है कि business बंद हो जाएगा. So I think it's very clear, friends, right? Only 2 points that we have to learn, right? So let's revise one more time. The first is the control, that completed. Number two is continuity of the business. So what we can say, the death of the karta will not affect the business. Why? Because the next eldest member of the family will take up the position. So the operation of the business is not terminated, and continuity of business will go on, right? No problem. Third, now third is the, we can say it's a very important as well as very prestigious point, limited liability of member, right? Why the speciality is in this point is that the word comes limited liability. Here the, we know that the here from the birth only the person becomes the member in the Hindu undivided family. Now who take the decision? Yes, the karta take the decision. So who will be responsible? Yes, the karta will be responsible because he takes the decision. So the liability of the other member besides the karta is limited. So the liability of the member is limited up to the amount they have invested or up to the inheritance of the property. If any mishap happen in the business, the members are not liable to pay the liability of the Hindu undivided family by selling their personal asset. We have seen the example of that also, right, in sole proprietorship. So now what they want to say in limited liability of member, let's see that. Very interesting it was. The liability of the all the co-partners or co-partners except the karta is limited. So we can say in simple words, the liability of the all members except the karta is limited to their share in the business, and consequently their risk is well defined and precise. That means if a member has invested 50,000 in the business, his risk is only 50,000, not more than that. So what we can say, the liability of the all co-partners, liability of all the members except the karta is limited to their share in the business, and consequently their risk is well defined and precise. So friend, 3 points we have learned. The first is the control, continuity of business, limited liability. These are all the merits of this. Fourth, what they want to say, increased loyalty and cooperation. This word, right, defines a lot of things. Loyalty. Now what is loyalty? Loyalty means, right, wafadari. Loyalty means how we are loyal to the firm and cooperation, and how we cooperate each other, right? In this whole world, right, the main thing is what? The cooperation. If we have the cooperation with each other, the work will become very smooth. It like a bearing only, right? So let's see that. Increased loyalty and cooperation. Since the business is run by the members of the family, clearly they says that it is run by the members of the family, not any other person outside the family. There is a greater sense of loyalty towards one another, है ना? There is always a greater sense of loyalty. एक दूसरे के प्रति उनका प्यार ज्यादा रहता है, राइट? क्योंकि एक ही फैमिली में काम करते हैं. प्राइड इन द ग्रोथ ऑफ बिजनेस. प्राइड, जैसे जैसे बिजनेस बढ़ता है प्राइड बढ़ता है ना? प्राइड का मतलब अहंकार नहीं, प्राइड का मतलब देखिए विश्वास. प्राइड इन द ग्रोथ ऑफ बिजनेस इज लिंक्ड टू द अचीवमेंट्स ऑफ द फैमिली. किसके साथ जोड़ देते हैं? फैमिली के साथ. क्योंकि बिजनेस बढ़ेगा तो पूरे फैमिली के लोगों का इनकम भी तो बढ़ेगा, दोनों साथ में ही चलेगा. दिस हेल्प्स इन सिक्योरिंग बेटर कोऑपरेशन फ्रॉम द मेंबर. इससे सबके बीच में अच्छा तालमेल बैठेगा. सो लेट्स सी दैट आल्सो. Increased loyalty and cooperation. So what we can say? Already I said loyalty. क्यों? Since the business is run by the family members, there is a greater sense of loyalty towards one another. सही बात है ना? Since the business is run by the members of the family, there is a greater sense of loyalty towards one another. प्राइड इन द ग्रोथ ऑफ बिजनेस. प्राइड मतलब मैंने अभी बताया विश्वास, ठीक है? प्राइड इन द ग्रोथ ऑफ बिजनेस इज लिंक्ड टू द अचीवमेंट्स ऑफ द फैमिली, ठीक है? प्राइड टू द ग्रोथ ऑफ बिजनेस इज लिंक्ड टू द अचीवमेंट्स ऑफ द फैमिली. दिस हेल्प्स इन सिक्योरिंग बेटर कोऑपरेशन फ्रॉम द मेंबर्स. तो वापस देखते हैं. सिंस द बिजनेस इज रन बाय द मेंबर्स ऑफ द फैमिली, there is a greater sense of loyalty towards one another, right? What we can say, since the business is run by the members of the family, there is a greater sense of loyalty towards one another. Pride in the growth of business. क्या लिखा है? Pride in the growth of business is linked to the achievements of the family, and this helps in securing cooperation among the members. Friends, we have learned the fourth point. The first is the control. Number 2 is continuity of business, limited liability. Fourth is increased loyalty and cooperation. That is the merit. So 4 merits हमने पढ़े. Effective control, continued business existence, limited liability, increased loyalty and cooperation. Now friends, what are the topic of limitation? बोलते हैं ना, हर सिक्के के दो पहलू होते हैं. तो हियर ऑल्सो इन हिंदू अनडिवाइडेड फैमिली, वेदर इट इज सोल प्रोप्राइटरशिप और एनी टाइप ऑफ फॉर्म ऑफ ऑनरशिप, देयर आर ऑलवेज टू साइड्स ऑफ इट. वंस दे आर सेड द मेरिट्स, क्या क्या इसके फायदे हैं. नाउ वी आर गोइंग टू सी व्हाट आर द लिमिटेशंस ऑफ इट. लिमिटेशन का मतलब क्या क्या इसके नुकसान है, क्या क्या इसके प्रॉब्लम्स है, ठीक है? देखते हैं. Limitation. The following are some of the limitations of a joint Hindu family business. The limitation, पहला नाम है limited resources. बोलो, सही बात है ना? Limited resources, right? ये हमें सबसे ज्यादा कब पता चला? In this period, right now? That is the COVID-19 situation, right? We know that the resources that we are having is always limited. That it should be used in a very useful manner, है ना? तो लिमिटेशंस क्या है? सबसे पहला प्रॉब्लम है लिमिटेड रिसोर्सेस. द जॉइंट हिंदू फैमिली बिजनेस फेस द प्रॉब्लम ऑफ लिमिटेड कैपिटल एज इट डिपेंड मेनली ऑन द एंसेस्ट्रल प्रॉपर्टी. किसके ऊपर है पूरा ये? इट इज ऑफ द एंसेस्ट्रल प्रॉपर्टी. एंसेस्ट्रल प्रॉपर्टी मतलब क्या होता है? द प्रॉपर्टी फ्रॉम द, राइट, प्रॉपर्टी फ्रॉम द फोर फादर्स. उनके ऊपर है ये, उनके ऊपर है, फोर फादर्स के ऊपर है. दिस लिमिट द स्कोप फॉर एक्सपेंशन ऑफ बिजनेस. इससे क्या लिमिट हो जाता है? दिस लिमिट्स द स्कोप फॉर द एक्सपेंशन ऑफ बिजनेस, एक्सपेंशन बढ़ाने में प्रॉब्लम है, क्योंकि एंसेस्टर की प्रॉपर्टी अगर कम होगा तो भी प्रॉब्लम हो जाएगा, पैसे इकट्ठा करना मुश्किल है. So what we can say, friends, the first is the limited resources, right? So what we can say, limited. So in that what we can say, limited resources. The joint, क्या लिखा है, the joint Hindu family faces, what they want to say, the joint Hindu family faces the problem of limited capital, right? Clearly they want to say that the joint Hindu family faces, the joint Hindu family business faces the problem of limited capital. क्या लिखा है, the joint Hindu family business face the problem of limited capital. Why? As it depends mainly on which capital, ancestral property, मतलब उनके जो पूर्वज है उनकी प्रॉपर्टी. दिस लिमिट्स द स्कोप ऑफ द एक्सपेंशन ऑफ बिजनेस. उससे क्या हो जाता है, बिजनेस बढ़ाने में बहुत ज्यादा प्रॉब्लम आता है, राइट? So what we can say, the joint Hindu family, क्या लिखना है, the joint Hindu family business face the problem of limited capital as it depends mainly on the ancestor property. This limit the scope of the expansion of the business, right? So what we can say, limited resources. The joint Hindu family faces the problem of limited capital. The joint Hindu family, the joint Hindu family business faces the problem of limited capital as it depends mainly on the ancestral property. उनके ऊपर हो जाता है. This limit the scope for expansion. बढ़ने में प्रॉब्लम आता है. सेकेंड प्रॉब्लम है अनलिमिटेड लायबिलिटी ऑफ कर्ता. कर्ता की लायबिलिटी क्या हो जाती है, अनलिमिटेड हो जाती है. दैट मीन्स इफ ही टेक्स एनी रॉन्ग डिसीजन इन द बिजनेस, हिज पर्सनल एसेट्स आर रिस्पॉन्सिबल टू पे द लायबिलिटी ऑफ द बिजनेस. है कि नहीं? क्या लिखा है देखो, अनलिमिटेड लायबिलिटी ऑफ द कर्ता. The karta is burdened, clear लिखा है, the karta is burdened not only with the responsibility of decision making and the management of the business, but also suffers from the disadvantages of having unlimited liability. His personal property can be used to pay the business debts. So let's see one more time, बहुत simple है. The karta is overburdened, we can say, right? The karta is overburdened not only by the responsibility of decision making but to manage the whole firm, but also suffers from the disadvantages of unlimited liability. His personal property can be used to repay the debt. और ये तो बड़ा प्रॉब्लम वाला है. फर्स्ट पॉइंट क्या पड़ा, लिमिटेड रिसोर्सेज, बिकॉज द होल रिसोर्स डिपेंड्स अपॉन द एंसेस्ट्रल प्रॉपर्टी. लिमिटेड कैपिटल के ऊपर आ जाता है. नंबर टू इज अनलिमिटेड लायबिलिटी ऑफ द कर्ता. why? Because he has to manage the whole firm, he has to take the decision, and plus his liability is also unlimited. लेकिन जो शेयर होगा प्रॉफिट वो तो सबके बीच में बटेगा, तो एक्चुअली ही इज इन वेरी डिसएडवांटेजेस पॉइंट. थर्ड है डोमिनेंस ऑफ कर्ता. क्यों ऐसा बोला गया है? बिकॉज द होल पावर, पूरी पावर किसको दे के रखा है, कर्ता को दे के रखा है. डिसीजन मेकिंग का है, मैनेजमेंट का है, सब कुछ उसी के ऊपर है. तो देयर मे बी पॉसिबिलिटी दैट द कर्ता में मिसयूज हिज पावर. द कर्ता इंडिविजुअली मैनेजेस द बिजनेस. क्लियर लिखा है, द कर्ता इंडिविजुअली मैनेजेस द बिजनेस विच मे एट टाइम्स, क्या लिखा है, which may at times not be acceptable, which may at times not be acceptable to other members. दूसरे लोग उसे पसंद करे ये जरूरी yes नहीं है. The karta individually manages the whole business. It is not necessary that the other members are ready to accept that. This may cause conflict among them. उनके बीच में क्या होगा, conflict होगा. And may even lead to break down the family unit. इससे फैमिली भी बर्बाद हो जाती है. सही है? देखो क्या लिखा है, the karta individually manages the business which may at times not be acceptable by the other partner. This may cause conflict among them and that may lead breakdown of the family unit, right? So I think that also clear. So what are the 3 points? The first is the point limited resources. Number 2 is unlimited liability of karta and dominance of karta. Fourth one, जिसमें सबसे ज़्यादा प्रॉब्लम आता है, मैनेजरियल स्किल. बिकॉज यहाँ पे इंपॉर्टेंस किसको दिया जाता है? द एल्डर मोस्ट मेंबर ऑफ द फैमिली. अब सपोज कोई एल्डर मोस्ट मेंबर का एज 65 है, 70 है, तो उसके अंदर जो स्किल होंगे वो तो कम हो जाएंगे बिकॉज ऑफ राइट एज. इफ द एज इज मोर 100%, देयर मे बी प्रॉब्लम. बहुत कम केस में ऐसा होता है जहाँ पे डिसीजन मेकिंग स्किल बहुत ज़्यादा होता है, मैनेजमेंट पावर ज़्यादा होता है. द एज ऑफ 76 लॉट ऑफ इश्यूज आते हैं. 75, 76, 70 क्या है कि फिजिकली द पर्सन इज नॉट सो फिट, है ना. लिमिटेड मैनेजरियल स्किल, तो इससे क्या हो जाता है, मैनेज करने के जो स्किल्स है वो थोड़े से कम हो जाते हैं. सिंस द कर्ता कैनॉट बी एक्सपर्ट इन ऑल एरियाज ऑफ मैनेजमेंट. हम जानते हैं कि मैनेजमेंट सिर्फ एक जगह नहीं होता. इट इंक्लूड्स इन परचेज देखना पड़ता है, सेलिंग देखना पड़ता है, राइट, बिजनेस देखना पड़ता है, एडवर्टाइजमेंट देखना पड़ता है. तो सब एरिया में एक ही बंदा सब करे, दैट इज नॉट प्रैक्टिकली पॉसिबल, right? Since the karta cannot be expert in all areas of management, the business may suffer. सही बात है ना. अगर वो सही में काम नहीं कर सकता तो कौन सफर करेगा? बिजनेस में सफर एज अ रिजल्ट ऑफ हिज अनवाइज डिसीजन गलत ले लेगा. His inability to decide effectively may result into the poor profit. प्रॉफिट कम करे या फिर लॉस होना शुरू हो जाएगा. So right, so it's very simple. They want to say since the क्या लिखा है, since the कर्ता क्या लिखा है, since the कर्ता cannot be expert in all the areas of management, the business may suffer due to unwise decision. सही है ना. His inability to decide effectively may result into poor profit or even loss for the organization. So I think it's very clear. Good morning. I think is very clear related to points, right? Chalo. So friends, we have learned the limited managerial skill. Since the karta cannot be expert in all areas of management, the business may suffer as a result of his unwise decision. His inability may result into poor profit or even loss for the organization. The Hindu joint family is on the decline because of the diminishing number of Hindu families in the country. ठीक है, अभी ये ज्यादातर नहीं चलता है, पहले होता था. नाउ फ्रेंड्स, वी आर मूविंग टुवर्ड्स द पार्टनरशिप. ठीक है, आज ये सबसे ज्यादा प्रिवेलेंट है, पार्टनरशिप. नाउ व्हाट इज पार्टनरशिप? इसका डेफिनेशन बहुत सिंपल है. पार्टनरशिप इज अ रिलेशनशिप बिटवीन टू और मोर पर्सन. क्योंकि एक तो बोलेंगे तो सोल प्रोप्राइटरशिप में चला जाएगा, इसलिए बोला गया है टू और मोर पर्सन हु हैव एग्रीड टू शेयर द प्रॉफिट ऑफ अ बिजनेस which is carried by all. सब मिलके करना, और any of them acting on behalf of all, या सबके लिए कोई एक जन काम करना. ठीक है. So let's see the partnership. Definition देखेंगे हम. ये रहा. The Indian Partnership Act 1932 define partnership as, क्या लिखा है, the relationship between the person who have agreed to share the profit of the business carried by all or any of them acting for all. ये आपको पढ़ना पड़ेगा. यू हैव टू रिवाइज इट, राइट. ये सेम टू सेम आपको पढ़ना पड़ेगा, राइट. इन्वर्टेड कॉमर्स में जो भी डेफिनेशन होता है ना, दैट वी हैव टू लर्न. सो व्हाट इज फ्रेंड्स पार्टनरशिप? इंडियन पार्टनरशिप एक्ट 1932 डिफाइन पार्टनरशिप एज, क्या है, द रिलेशनशिप बिटवीन द पर्सन हु हैव एग्रीड टू शेयर द प्रॉफिट ऑफ अ बिजनेस कैरीड बाय ऑल और एनी ऑफ देम एक्टिंग फॉर ऑल. सही है. चलो आगे. फीचर्स. नाउ व्हाट आर द फीचर्स? फीचर्स का मतलब क्या होता है? कैरेक्टरिस्टिक्स, राइट. यस. द फर्स्ट इज द फॉर्मेशन. किस तरह से ये बनता है? जैसे हमने सोलो पार्टनरशिप में देखा था फॉर्मेशन एंड द क्लोजर. तो यहाँ पे क्या है? फॉर्मेशन. देखो क्या लिखा है, द पार्टनरशिप फॉर्म ऑफ बिजनेस ऑर्गेनाइजेशन इज गवर्न्ड बाय द इंडियन पार्टनरशिप एक्ट 1932. कानून लगता है. but in sole proprietorship there is no such act. Hindu undivided family, right, there is no such act. Okay, तो यहाँ पे लिखा है partnership. The partnership form is of the business organization is governed by the Indian Partnership Act 1932. It comes into existence through a legal agreement. Agreement can be oral भी हो सकता है या written भी हो सकता है. It comes into existence through a legal agreement wherein the terms and conditions governing the relationship among the partners, क्या क्या होता है उसके अंदर वो बता रहे हैं. Relationship among the partners, sharing profit and loss, and the manner of conducting the business are specified. Clear लिखा है कि उसमें specify करके रखा है. So what we can say formation. The partnership form of business organization is governed by क्या लिखा है Indian Partnership Act 1932. Right. So what we can say, friends, first point, the formation. The partnership form of business organization is governed by Indian Partnership Act 1932. It comes into existence through a legal agreement wherein the terms and conditions governing the relationship among the partners. क्या क्या होता है among the partners? Sharing of profit and loss and the manner of conducting the business are specified. Okay, so what we can say in the formation. The partnership form of business organization is governed under the Act 1932. It comes into existence by an agreement, and that agreement says about the relationship among the partners, sharing of the profit and loss, and the manner of the conducting the business are specified. It may be noted that the क्या लिखा है? It may be noted that the business must be lawful. सबसे important चीज का है lawful. Only we can take that business which is permitted by the government. We cannot do illegal activity. It must be noted that the business must be lawful and run with the motive of profit. और क्या objective से हम करेंगे ये? Profit के objective. Thus two people coming together, दो लोग साथ में आए फॉर चैरिटेबल पर्पस. अगर चैरिटेबल पर्पस के लिए आ रहे हैं, लोगों की मदद के लिए आ रहे हैं, तो हम उसे पार्टनरशिप नहीं कह सकते हैं. राइट, वो अलग चीज में चला जाता है. तो 10 इसलिए क्लियर किया है. तो व्हाट इज अ फ्रेंड फॉर्मेशन? बहुत सिंपल पढ़ा हमने. पहला तो डेफिनेशन पढ़ लिया. क्या है? अकॉर्डिंग टू पार्टनरशिप एक्ट 1932 पार्टनरशिप रिलेशन. फॉर्मेशन हमने पढ़ा. राइट, इट कम्स इनटू एग्जिस्टेंस थ्रू अ लीगल एग्रीमेंट. ओके, यस. सो फ्रेंड्स, आज हमने पढ़ा हिंदू अनडिवाइडेड फैमिली के मेरिट्स, है ना, और साथ में हमने क्या पढ़ा? लिमिटेशंस ऑल्सो वी हैव लर्न. उसमें हमने मेरिट्स में क्या क्या देखा? राइट, कंट्रोल पावर पूरा रहता है, डिसीजन मेकिंग का पूरा रहता है, लायबिलिटी लिमिटेड रहता है बाकी लोगों का, बिजनेस चलता रहता है, लॉयल्टी. अनमेरिट भी देखा कि भाई कर्ता, राइट, ज़्यादा डोमिनेंस दिखाता है, कर्ता की लायबिलिटी अनलिमिटेड है, रिसोर्सेस है, कम हो जाता है, मैनेजरियल स्किल भी कम हो जाता है. ठीक है, चलो. सो फ्रेंड्स, इन द नेक्स्ट पीरियड वी विल कंटिन्यू विद द पार्टनरशिप. होप you are studying well. Take care. Thank you. God bless you.